awesome guest today. Just before we even got started, got to learn a lot more about Andrew Paul. And here's what's cool. A lot of seasons just ended. College baseball, my wife loves the World Series. College track and field ended. Hockey ended. Basketball just ended. And this is coming from Indiana, so this one stings a little bit. This one stings a little bit. But OKC, as you know, Oklahoma City Thunder, they end up beating our Indiana Pacers. However, this podcast has been long in the making. We have Andrew Paul on. He is all things important to the OKC. He's the director of performance and rehab. He oversees strength and conditioning, the nutrition, all those things. So here's what's really cool. We had to reschedule a number of times, and it's for the coolest reasons we've ever had, really. The OKC, they extended their series, so they're playing another game, and then so we had to reschedule the podcast. And then their main guy, SGA, wins the entire MVP, had to reschedule. So these are awesome, awesome reasons to reschedule. So finally, since they won the whole thing, and now it's in July, we are awesome. We're very excited to have Andrew Paul on the show today. Welcome, Andrew, to the show.
I appreciate it, man. It's been an exciting time for us too. So I appreciate you just like bearing with me on that. And I really wanted to get on there. And I was like, I swear to you, I want to get on your podcast. But yeah, all good reasons to reschedule. Although one of the reschedules was not, I blew my knee out. Remember that?
Oh, that's right. That's not a good reason. Oh,
I ruptured my quad tendon working out with our players.
oh, I wrote that down too. Shoot, that's a terrible reason. Oh my God.
Knees
All
doing
right,
so it's all positive, man. We're here. We're here.
we're here. All right. So just had the parade. How was that?
I mean, it was crazy experience because the team's important to Oklahoma City and Oklahoma.
Hmm.
You did not you don't really grasp it until you see it all.
Right.
So you're in the parade and it's 500,000 people lined up on the streets. Basically, the whole state of Oklahoma was shut down for the day. Um, that's virtually just shy of the population of the entire city was there that day. Um, and that the Thunder mean a lot to the state and to the city. You don't really recognize it until you're there and you see it and they're all around. And um, it was just an awesome experience, man. It was great for just the fans and the players and everyone.
That's the thing. Like you can see the game on TV, you can hear the words that are spoken, or you can see what's written in a book. But it's the feeling, right? It's like leadership. If you can see and they hear it, but it's not until you feel it and you're like, wow, this is an experience. There's all these people, like the
Yeah.
noise and it's not for nothing. Your franchise is young on a relative basis,
Relative
right?
basis, and yeah, and the state, it's the only professional sport in Oklahoma, or a high level professional sport in Oklahoma. There's a minor league team here, a minor league baseball team, but the state of Oklahoma is kind of like, I don't want to say they view themselves as underdogs or anything, but for a trophy to be brought to Oklahoma City, like the meaning of that for the people that have lived here their whole lives and have never experienced anything like that was pretty intense. Like that was the love for the team. And by the way, that they had love for this team not too long ago. We were only winning 25, 24 games a year, and the same fans, we packed the arena for those teams. And so
Wow.
um it was good for the fans to experience it, but like they were amped. It was good. It was just a great time.
That makes sense. With Oklahoma being, I don't want to speak for them, but Texas is right there, right? And Texas is kind of a big deal. And if you're anything like those SEC schools, like in Alabama, there's Alabama and Auburn.
Yeah.
There's no pro football, basketball, baseball, hockey. There's nothing. Mississippi, right? So a lot of those states, those schools are the thing. And for the longest time, it's the Sooners and the Cowboys in Oklahoma, and that's it. So having a pro level team,
Yeah.
everyone's going to be all in. So let's rewind. Let's say you're younger and you're just finishing up at Missouri State. And what was your best sport there?
So I played a little bit of football, but I played but baseball was the sport I played mostly in college. Um, and so those are my favorite sports. I think I have a very similar background to most strength coaches who um, I would say a vast majority are probably under talented athletes that were just like probably like training more than I like competing at their sport, and that was definitely me.
Sure.
Um, and so Brian Mann was a GA. Um, Brian Mann is in the velocity-based training world now. He's at A&M. He was a GA at Missouri State as a strength coach when I was a player. Um, and then Rick Perry was a head strength coach. And I remember I transferred to Missouri State from a small school. I went to a Division II school for my first 2 years of college, and there was no strength coach there. It was at Truman State in Northeast Missouri, and we had no strength coach for our baseball team. And so when I transferred to Missouri State, it was my first time I actually saw. First time I realized that strength and conditioning coaching was an actual profession that you could get paid for full time.
Wow.
And so I remember this is your job, man. Like this is sweet. And that was the first time that I actually thought like this is what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Was when I was there as an athlete.
Well, if you were best at baseball, and let's say you just got drafted, or let's say basketball was your sport, and OKC just won it, and they had the lottery, and they drafted you. And so let's say you get drafted today on a Wednesday. What's your walkout song gonna be?
Oh man, I can tell you about my walkout song was in in college.
Yeah, when you're 22. So,
When I'm 21, 22, I had my
so,
walkout song was "Like a Prayer" from Madonna.
bro,
It was a banger back then.
I know. Yeah, I'm 50. I know that. I had her tape, right? Not album, but tape. And so I hope to God that SGA and all the other players hear this. What your main song was. Now, if it were today, would it still be the same song?
Probably because it's funny. I don't listen to any new music at all, so I
Hmm.
listen to the same music I listened to in college. Like, our weight room's full of new music all the time, and
Hmm.
I've mastered the art of tuning that out completely.
Yeah, there's a lot of
All
crap.
the, yeah, not now. It's like I'm like my if you look at my Spotify account right now, is mostly like Daniel Tiger songs for my 3-year-old daughter.
Ouch.
Yeah, stuff like that. So
The Wiggles and Blues Clues.
yeah.
So you just get drafted and you can pick any kind of meal. What are we having to eat?
Oh, I'm like a massive pizza guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thin crust, stuffed crust, deep dish, New York style.
I'm from St. Louis, so that's like the only pizza we acknowledge is the thin crust pizza. Um, so I'm like, there's a place in St. Louis called Emo's Pizza that's like a famous pizza spot in St. Louis. So that's the meal.
Shout out Emo's Pizza. Also, shout out Pat Ivy, episode 62, Dr. Como, episode 57. So, for those playing along at home, that Missouri tie, we had Dr. Como on, and then she got me to Pat, and then got us to Josh Stoner down at Stephen F. Austin, who then got us to Andrew. And it seems like, other than Como, if you go to Missouri, you're into athletics, and then you lose your hair quickly. So, that's a good thing, right? Because everybody seems to have a shaved head. So, uh,
I can blame it on Mizzou. That's good.
right? But apparently they have good pizza. All right, so national level competitor in Olympic weightlifting, snatch and clean and jerk.
Yeah.
And they talk about knocking it out of the Olympics all the time, and it's called Olympic lifting. Any so references, numbers, total, body weight.
So my body weight, this was before Olympic lifting was cool. My dog's barking in the background right now. He's choosing the best time to wake up. Um, but this is back before Olympic lifting was cool, I think. So this is in the late 90s, early 2000s. Um, and I was about 170, I was in the 174s for a little bit and 187s after that. My best numbers, I can't remember where I was in each weight class. My best numbers was 145 clean and jerk and a 125 snatch, I believe. In
So
kilo.
about a 275 snatch, and
Yeah.
roughly 150, 300, about a 330 clean and jerk, roughly.
Yeah.
All right,
And I competed I competed for a while, definitely through high school, and then after I went to play sports in college, I kind of stepped aside, and then I actually competed in one more meet after college, and I decided it's really hard to coach and train that hard at the same time.
sure,
So,
it is right.
so yeah, the Olympic shoes were hung up.
The higher you want to go in anything, the more likely you got to cut more and more things out, not add, right?
Well, one of the things that Pat told me, I think it was Pat or a member of our staff that just basically said, you can't train elite athletes and train to be an elite athlete. That's like very, very difficult. And
Right.
I think
Yes.
I learned that when I was very young.
Yes. You mentioned that after you left your D2 school at the D1 school, you met your strength coach, and you're like, wow, you can get paid to do this kind of thing. And you had a great strength coach in high school, and had a lot of great values, and you learned those at a young age. What were the things that you actually learned? You thought, hey, man, I identify with this and this guy and this approach, this value. Like, what were they?
I think the number one thing is I got confident in myself by training hard and
Mm,
accomplishing things. That was number one thing that kept me around in the weight room. I think is that coach. His name is Kevin Kinney. I still talk to him to this day. He's my high, like, I just texted with him yesterday. He's my high school strength coach, and um, he had a way of pushing you, being hard on you, but then also like congratulating you and praising you at the same time. And I think as a young kid, I started with him when I was 12 ish or 13. I think that's what you're looking for as a young man is like something you're good at. And he made you feel like you were good at it, even if you weren't.
mhm.
But then the underlying of that is you were learning how to be on time. You were learning how to do your best. You were learning how to fail at certain things and come back and do it again. And so, um, while he wasn't lecturing me on being on time and doing your best and those things, he was reinforcing that every day, and he made an environment where um, I would walk out the room more confident than I walked in every day. And that when you're just a young, impressionable adolescent, that's a huge thing.
Huge thing. How about the component, relative today, even how it's okay to underperform, like you didn't do well on this movement or lift, and how failing is okay given that you're trying to improve. So many, and I think it's more, once people are set, it gets ingrained in their DNA and their identity that it's not okay to fail, right? And we have my wife and I, between us, we have 6 kids. We'll hear from, oh, I don't want to look bad. I don't want, so I don't want to fail.
Yeah.
And they'll say, I said, I'm screaming for failures. Please fail as quickly as possible so we can just evolve now. But talk about that, how that guy made it okay to fail and keep going and learn and improve.
I don't remember exactly what he did to prove that point. I do know
Sure.
a time he told me, so I got into Olympic lifting through him, and I never set out to be an Olympic lifter. We used Olympic lifts to get better as athletes, and
Mm,
he started finding these meets locally and then nationally to go to. But I do remember him saying like one of the great things about Olympic lifting is like you're on stage, and there are some where you're on a big stage, a big auditorium. There's hundreds of bored parents watching the whole thing, and like there's a spotlight on you, and there's judges looking at you, and it's just you and the weight,
yeah.
and you got it or you don't, and you miss it, you come back, you get it again. And so I do think that there was um, a sense that I got from him where make the lift, don't make the lift. We're gonna like he would always focus on things that I could control within that situation. And regardless, he was always super amped that we even tried a PR or tried something that he knew was a stretch for us.
Sure.
And then it was like right back to training the next day.
Right.
So it was just a I don't know if there was ever a moment we talked about that, but it was just so ingrained in your daily routine that you're gonna try this. You've never done this before, and you're gonna do it. And if you do it, high five, I'll see you tomorrow. If you don't, high five, I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.
like like one of those things.
That's amazing. That's so good. Plus, there's that external pressure that you can feel or figure out how not to feel. The
Yeah.
judges, the lights, the parents, we traveled all this way, blah, 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 one at a time. It's not
Yep.
like a whole team. And then to learn how to handle that, because some kids are going to come from a D2 school and then play in the NBA, and you're like, holy shit, man, this is different, right?
Yep.
Um, when you guys travel, right? So we're gonna assume that OKC has the best fans and they have the best crowd and the best food and the men and the women are the best. Everything's the best in Oklahoma City, right? Let's assume that,
Perception.
right? Um, outside of there, where are you like, oh man, this environment, this arena, these fans are it's something different. And while I'm in this town, this food is something different.
Fans,
Yeah,
we'll separate fans and food.
yeah.
Um,
Because in Cleveland they'll just throw the food. Because I'm from Cleveland, they don't know any better.
oddly enough, it's hard. It's hard for me not to mention the Indiana fans after just playing the finals there, because
Yeah,
the Indiana fans have always been a hard. Indiana's always been a hard place to play for our players, and I really trust the players' opinions when they say this place is a hard place to play. Um, they always talk about Indiana and Denver as
wow,
being.
Denver. Okay,
And Denver, there's like a Denver's very good. They're a good team. Just the air there is harder for the players to adapt to in the first quarter, and then like on top of that, the fans are pretty intense. So they'll always talk about
yeah,
uh, those two places being tougher places to play. They never mention the obvious like New York type things, and then
L.A.
one of the New York fans will turn on their own team very quickly. So you like they're not in it like the Indiana fans are.
Right.
So
That,
the food, um, I'm trying to think of. We go to really we're like really spoiled with food. Um, you have to put New York in the food category because of the diversity and just like there's like underground restaurants in just about every corner of New York. I wouldn't even be able to name one, but you'll be able to find a nice steakhouse if you want it. You'll be able to find Thai food if you want it. You'll be able to find just about whatever you want in New York within walking distance. So you got to put New York in that category just from pure volume of what they have.
we had the strength coach for the Marlins on, and he said hands down the food in Yankee Stadium is his favorite, even though there's a good 20,000 whatever restaurants around town. He's like
Really?
he absolutely loved the food in Yankee Stadium. Um,
There's a place in LA. It's actually in LA and in Dallas. There's only two that I know of in the country called the Honor Bar. And my my workmates would be like they would kill me if I didn't mention it when you ask me about food because I will as soon as we land in LA, I'm going to the Honor Bar and they have a chicken sandwich that is world famous.
really?
Oh, it's right next to our hotel and people like I will line up and wait for an hour and a half for this chicken sandwich. It's crazy. They shouldn't have
Wow.
anything else on the menu. But it's a famous chicken sandwich in the NBA circle.
All right, all right. Honor bar. I have it written down. Um, one of the things that I say, and I always send out these questionnaires to our guests, and one of the questions is, "What do you want to talk about?" And you said training philosophy, and I
Yeah.
usually don't just go right into that question, but I have my thoughts on my training philosophy and what I witness and trends with strength coaches in college, and I can't really say the pros as much, mostly in college and in high schools, but let's have you go first on what your training philosophy is going to be. And you worked at the college level and the pro level. Does it change a whole lot? So, training philosophy, what is that? And then how does it evolve between college and pro?
Your second question is better. I don't know why I put training philosophy on there. Usually that's what I end up talking about on podcast. Um,
Well, we're going to spend a little time, not a lot, but I just want to hear it.
yeah, yeah. So there's a big difference between college and pro, and I know I haven't been out of college for over 10 years now, and so I wasn't there during the NIL stuff at all.
Sure.
So maybe this has changed. But what in college, I think you had a lot more power of authority um, over the players to a large degree, where they were on your program and you could have them do whatever, and they were going to do it. Um, that's not the case in professional sports. In that the players are going to walk in and they're going to have a wide variety of leverage. One of our players just signed a deal where he's going to make 71 million next year. So like they're going to have their opinions and their preferences, and you have to learn how to cater to that. And so you have to be a much more diverse, wide scoped, deep at coach. On top of that, some of our players can be with us for 10 plus years. It's not like college where you can have like a junior, freshman, sophomore, junior program. You're going to have a program for rookie, and there's been people that have been with us for a full 15 to 17-year career. And so you need to learn how to work with them through their young years, through their prime, and then through kind of the late years of their career, and what those things look different. And so you have to, I think the pros really challenge you to think on an N of one basis with the player, recognize where they're at in their career, um, and cater to all of that. And so the spectrum of things you're going to meet throughout that are pretty wild. On top of that, we just played 106 games, um, which, if you're trying, that's longer than an entire college school year, not just season. So you think about, we're playing 3 to 4 games a week. We travel in between with all these players that are of different ages, have different needs, different parts of their career, and your ability to have a relationship with them and then meet them where they're at any given day of that 106 game schedule is a lot more demanding than I remember college being.
Sure.
And I remember it was like a humbling experience for me, because I thought when I thought that I was good at connecting with players, but I was probably relying on like a lot of the fact that they had to show up, um, for me to generate a relationship and things like that. In my first couple of years, that was a difficult transition for me. Was you have some of these players, you have one session to gain their trust, and then they're on to the next thing. And so just learning that I need to be able to discuss with them and be educated in a wide variety of topics. And they'll see things that the old coach has done at the old team that they want to continue. They have this personal guy in the summer. I got to generate relationship with them and see what they're all about and learn that. And then they'll be able to speak intelligently. That's a much more challenging environment to me. It's but it definitely affects your philosophy on training, because you get to see a lot of different things that seem to work.
Yeah. So you and I were just talking about this before we started the program. I gave you my philosophy on athlete builder, how in your head there's your mindset, knowledge, and teammates, and in your body there's your training, nutrition, recovery. So you know you're a PhD and know a lot of things about training and nutrition and everything else, right? Once you're already at that, so you're at that level, you're so high at that level knowledge wise, that's not the limiting factor at all.
Yeah.
Your limiting factor is your relationships with the people, right? So teammates, right? Now, like you said earlier on, that's at a younger age. So let's say pee wee football, show up, kid, do exactly what I say,
Yeah.
right? You go to SGA and say, hey, show up, kid, do exactly what I say. It's totally different, right?
Yeah.
So at each level, one of those six things is going to be what you're using to whoop everyone's ass. That's your competitive advantage. And one of those things is your limiting factor. That's your weak link. And it's a moving target. And it makes it even crazier. Like, so at our gym, we have adults that come in. And if you're like me and my wife's 53, and ACL tear and a meniscus tear. And, she had competed in powerlifting and a whole bunch of stuff. But that athlete at 53 is different than the athlete at 25 who's playing bar league volleyball, and then at 35 when they got kids. So it's a moving target for us. It's in the moving target for you, with you guys as well. That same player, you have to still be up to date with how their lives have changed, how their body changes, how their recovery changes.
Yeah.
And so you got to have this file on these players, and the player might leave. You can't really throw the file away because the player could come back, right?
Yeah.
So that's, oh my God, that amount of data you're always absorbing to apply must be monumental.
It's being observant, and then also, like, trust is the currency of professional sports. That, like, and there's a lot. I've seen a lot of coaches gain trust in a lot of different ways, and so I think the things that I've learned that work the best is you have to know your shit,
Mhm.
because no one, like, having a good relationship with a player. There's lots of different relationships. Relationships are built on different things, I guess. My relationship with my wife is not built on what I know about strength and conditioning, but my relationship with our players, that's a large component of it, because their strength and conditioning is important to them. And so you have to know your shit for them to trust you. That's a really important concept for people to grasp. That's one. You have to be consistent.
Sure.
Like they have to be able to trust that when they show up, like you're going to be that guy. And then like there's there's just layers of consistency, competency, um, and then you have to have a broad scope because you have to be able their needs one day are different than their needs the next, and the pressure that's on some of our players is pretty immense to support their families and people. So they need to be able to trust when they walk in the building that you can handle them, and they don't have to think. That's like one less thing they have to think about, and
Sure.
that's huge for a relationship between the two of you. It's like, yeah, we can be friends a little bit, and we can talk about life, and we can move through this together. But at the end of the day, what I think professional athletes want the most is someone they can trust with what you're meant to be trusted with, which is their health.
You think those players need you to be omniscient and flawless?
Now they need you to be authentic.
Yeah, right. So you can not know everything, but know that you'll go out and find an answer. You
Oh yeah,
could you could make mistakes, but own the mistakes and say, "Hey, we're fixing it."
the players now are professional bullshit detectors, man. And
Right?
like if they if it one you in the course of 106 games and over the course of 17 years of a career, you can't bullshit someone you might be able to bullshit them for that day or maybe a week or so, but they'll figure it out. And like you need to be authentic with them and tell them the truth. And sometimes telling the truth is like a hard conversation. They might not receive it well, but they'll respect you more for it.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's a major quality of people that can last in in professional sports is they're competent, they know what they don't know, they're real and they're authentic with the players. Um, and that's kind of like the recipe for success. In my experience, that's been the recipe for success and longevity in professional sports. People I see, and I've only been here for going on my 11th season, but the people that I've seen that have like survived in professional sports, I watch them, and that's it, man. Like they know their stuff, they're honest, they're authentic, they're consistent, and the players learn over time to respect him, even if they're not like the coolest guy in the world. The guys respect that.
Oh, good thing because my cool level meter
I'm
is
very I'm not
is
the
weak.
guys make fun of me all the time because I'm I'm not like
My own kids with the no cap lingo. I'm like,
yeah.
come on, bro,
I need a translator at times, but
help me out.
yeah.
Um, let's ask you. I don't know if you're well versed in it, but more and more, whatever sport you're in, and you're in basketball, kids will play in the rec league, and then they'll play in a travel league, and then there's AAU, high school, college, etc. And so one of the topics that comes up a lot is travel sports. How do you fit in strength and conditioning? Is it important? What do you see? What are trends? And what are good and bad trends? And so if you had your own Andrew Paul philosophy for kids coming up, man, give me your philosophy. How do you make a college athlete that's just an average Joe, but has the work ethic and the means? Some people are going to be really gifted, so they don't have to work as hard, but that's not always the case. So give me your philosophy and blueprint on that.
So the question is kind of how I go about developing a younger
Yeah.
athlete.
So you got kids and you got like an 8, 10, 12, 14, 16-year-old, they're growing through the ranks. I can tell
Yeah,
you what I see is they'll at a very young age, 10, 14, they'll pick one sport and play that year round, and it's still the same number of people getting drafted.
yeah,
Or so the same number, same percentage of people. 7% play in college, 2% play D1, right?
yeah.
And depending on the sport, those numbers go up and down, but overall that's those are the numbers. So how do you get to that level? Is it just playing travel sports? Is it more than that, less than that? What do you think?
Now, so I feel like there's a lot of nuance in this conversation that sometimes gets ignored because when I look at our players on our roster, almost all of them played other sports until a certain age.
Okay.
Usually, um, most of them figured out they're a very good basketball player and they're very tall at a young age, and they tend to stick with basketball. The strength coach in me is like, you need to diversify yourself and all those things. And I believe that for almost every kind of athlete. Basketball is just a little different. And I don't think it's like healthy for everyone to specialize in basketball at a young age, but there does. I am, I have a 3 year old daughter. When she gets older, I will recognize that if she's into a sport like basketball, there's going to be a weeding out period where there's going to be kids she's competing against that are specializing, and then you got a choice to make.
Right.
Because basketball is a skill sport, and the more you practice and the more you play, the better you're going to get.
Mm.
And so when if she's sitting on the bench because these other kids are specializing, that puts you in a very difficult position.
Sure.
So I think there's the physical therapist in me, the strength coach in me, highly values a lot of diversity and development,
Sure.
competing in a lot of different things. And so if it was that simple, I'd be like, get a wide variety. I played 5 sports in high school, and like that was great for me. But I'm also 5'8", and I was probably a below like average to above average athlete, nothing excellent. And then I see the players I work with now, and most of them specialize in basketball at a very young age, because had they not, like, they were just pushed that way because they were such an elite player that they are now competing on elite AAU teams, and they're playing, and those elite AAU teams have other elite players, and the difference between those things are very marginal. And so it kind of forces you into the funnel of early sports specialization. And so I think it's a very nuanced conversation. It wouldn't
Yeah.
be it wouldn't be my preference, but I recognize that at some point you have to make that decision.
Right. So in the bell curve, one standard deviation is about 2/3 of everybody, right? And two standard deviations, you got 80 plus percent. And you're talking about these people like, if you're going to be 6'6", 6'10", 7 foot, you're not a coxswain and you're not a jockey and you're not a weightlifter.
Yeah.
You're not a sumo wrestler. Like, you're playing probably basketball, maybe some volleyball.
Yeah.
Now, if you're 125 pounds and you're 4'11", you can maybe see you in Kentucky at the Derby,
Yeah.
right? So, sure, your body makeup is going to dictate that. If you're in that 1 to 2 standard deviations, the average person, or now we'll even talk about those elite level people, I would argue that, yeah, you need some diversity with the average people so they can stay healthy, no ACL tears, mentally they're getting better. But even the ones that are built, like you say, for basketball, and they're just doing the skill and they neglect being stronger, well, that's a competitive. If everyone neglects being stronger, absolute strength, or speed strength as well, if everyone neglects it and your guy is the only one that doesn't neglect it, well, he less likely to be injured, probably increases his vertical, right? More resilient, and probably a little more explosive because he added that one component. Everyone else is practicing all the time because it's a very skill dominant sport. Sure, he can still do that, but to say, hey, he doesn't need to lift 3 days a week, I would say like no one's Jordan wasn't winning against the Pistons until he got stronger,
Yeah.
right? So
That component of basketball is changing.
okay,
Even in the 10 years I've been in the NBA, the culture of basketball has accepted lifting as being a part of their daily needs
okay,
much more. We're not getting the same kids that have never been in the weight room before showing up in the draft. Um, and part of it is, it's like what you're saying. It's like the law of it's almost like it's like the free market. It's like everyone's going to converge, and then there's going to be people that start making themselves better, and people have to compete against them. And so there's no longer um, like
an
things just
advantage,
time to normalize. You know what I
right?
mean? And they trickle down. So the marginal separation from elite to excellent is getting changed with that. So you're not getting the same players that have no training background at all anymore, and it'll trickle down to college. College, what they're investing in college strength and conditioning programs now is is directly related to what they're paying NBA strength coaches, and that's going to trickle down to AAU teams that are trying to get their guys into colleges,
Sure.
particularly when they have the transfer portal, because the coaches have the option of getting not a grown, but a junior that's 21 and been in a weight program for 2 years, or a high school kid that hadn't done much. And so that's changing. I think I've noticed that a difference there. Our guys are much more prepared lifters than they were 10 years ago.
So you take that same approach and you apply it to any kind of company or pick a product, a car, right? All the cars were black back in the day for
Yeah.
first Model T. Well, then they're different colors. Well, that's the separator, right? Well, then this one has, better brakes, or they have airbags. So this one has radio. This says Sirius XM. Now it has a screen, right? Everyone gets to that next level because everyone copies, right? And you stand on the shoulders of giants if you
Yeah.
want to be great. I'm smarter than Isaac Newton ever was because he never got through all the calculus because
The
they didn't
mark,
have it, right?
yeah, the market and the scoreboard are very similar.
Right. So if everyone is like at 50, the only way you were really that much better is because we played all. I was in CYO league and they had rec league, so I was in Catholic Youth Organization. If you were pretty good, then you get to play travel. It was 6 extra weeks. You played a couple extra games, and then you move on to your next sport. So
Yeah.
that was the separator. Well, then everyone, well, I want to play travel, so that becomes normalized.
Yeah.
But no one, let's say, but no one lifts. So
Mhm.
you take that piece, and then now that generation is going to win for a while. And then they're like, well, all right, all right, we're doing travel and we're lifting, but man, we never really paid attention to diet. I eat all the shit I want, I don't care, right? And it's, at a young age, you can. And believe me, I drank a bunch of beer in college and ate a bunch of shit. But if you want to win, then people are like, oh well, shoot. Like I was just talking to these two guys, they're all normalizing their aura rings and whoop, and they're in college playing sport. They're normalizing that for the whole team
Yeah.
to measure their sleep because now you need another inch because everyone's there,
I mean, 1970s and 80s, Boyd Epley had the University of Nebraska do some crazy stuff, and
right?
look at college football now.
Mm.
Oh, NBA is no different. Everyone follows the same rules. I think um, it just takes different, cultures take a little bit different paths, but they're getting there.
The other thing I tell people is that to exert force, you have to be able to receive force. So if you exert force into the ground and it pushes you one direction or the other or up, you have to land. And if you don't build your body for the landing, damage, quad
Yeah.
tendon tears, right? Right? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Get
So
some.
not good, not good.
You're 42.
Yeah, right. Uh, I wanted to hear that because it's important for I think parents and coaches and kids to hear that if you lift, you're gonna have a better shot. And after some point, if you haven't lifted, then you're kind of really behind the eight ball because programs are starting to look at, oh, you didn't lift in high school or you didn't lift in college. I don't have 3 years to develop you any longer.
Yeah.
You have to be at a certain level. It's like you can't shoot a right-handed layup, or you have to be able to shoot both kinds of layups on both sides. Like I don't have time to develop you, and they don't
Yeah.
have to.
I don't know much about. I mean, I'm not going to speak intelligent about college, but I do recognize that these college players now, like I'll talk to college strength coaches in the off season, and they'll have like two guys left on their roster because everyone went on the portal,
Mm,
and it makes me realize they're signing. It's like you're signing someone to a 1 year contract, so you're no longer like if we were signing a player to a 1 year contract on our team, we wouldn't be looking at a developmental project. We would
no,
want someone that's like physically ready to play in the NBA. And I
right.
imagine colleges are doing the same thing.
So for parents or coaches that at the younger level hear that, you're basically a 1 year deal because the kids and parents can be like, well, I should be playing as a freshman or as a sophomore. And so if you're not developed physically when you get there, you're probably going to be pissed and you're going to move on, or someone else is going to come in and take your spot anyway. So you have to do the things earlier because there's so much fluidity in the portal now, right? So
Yeah.
you better be squared away. You can't be out drinking. You can't be out eating Cheetos all the time and not lifting. So you better be squared away in those things. Otherwise, nothing. You get
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah. I can, like I said, I've been in college for a long time and I've not experienced that, but professional sports are very similar in that competition is a good thing. Um, our younger players, I'll remind them that the next year there is going to be 287 or whatever it is more players apply for the draft or register for the draft. They're going to be younger. They might be more talented. You never know. So it's like as the years go by, just recognize that there is pressure to like competition has to pull that out of you.
Hmm.
They have someone younger and more talented. Like one of our old coaches is like the NBA is like a restaurant. They'll give you your check and they'll send you out the door and they'll sit someone else in your seat right after you.
Oh man, how humbling.
Yeah.
In that environment where everyone's competitive, talk about off the court, like people trying to win at horse, they're playing at win at cards, win at golf, win at like, first one to the elevator. Like I've seen teams where it's like I'm gonna eat my food faster than you, right? I'm gonna hold my breath longer than you and fuck around. I'm gonna hold my breath underwater, right?
Yeah.
Talk about how crazy it can get sometimes with those guys.
Um, our team is pretty chill. Our team's pretty chill. This is the old. I've had issues with previous teams. The guys made a lot of money, and you look, and on the plane there'll be card games going on with $100,000 of cash stacked up for a single hand,
Jeez,
and so that stuff is real.
is that your
And
game? Is that where you were playing?
yeah, I was I was out on that. I was on the Uno table with
Huda,
Monopoly money.
right?
Uh, so there is competitions like that. There are some like the other just in the finals. There was a big argument going on pregame about who could do the most push-ups. And some of these guys, and then of course I get pulled into it because I'm the strength coach. So like, who you think can do the most push-ups? And there's guys throwing out outrageous numbers. And one thing I realize about these guys is like they've been such good athletes their whole life. They'll say crazy stuff. They'll say I could throw a baseball 95 miles an hour for a guy that has never
Throwing the
played.
baseball, right?
My favorite time of the year is when the combine's on, NFL combine, because we play it in the weight room, and guys like I run a 4.3 right now. And I'm like, there's no shot you know how fast that is. So they literally will pick anything and decide they're going to be the best at it. Um, but we were like, yeah, guys, I'll do 150 strict push-ups right now.
No chance,
I was like, that's not happening. I'll give you 15.
right? Oh man, I'm better than 15. I'm between 40 and 50, but I mean I have to go fast too because just that too much time under attention. 150 straight. I don't have that muscle endurance, and I weigh too much for that. Way
These
too
guys,
much.
these guys, they just have and then they just talk themselves up. So the next guy says, "I'll do more," and then it's like the numbers get outrageous.
Do they even do it the push-ups or no?
No, they just want to argue about it.
Like, okay. It's you've seen that movie Invincible, Mark Wahlberg, the Eagles. He's a walk-on receiver, and so it's based on a true story, Vince Papale. And they bring out all these open tryouts, right? And Eagles fans are showing up for open tryouts. Dick Vermeil has that because their team sucks so bad, and Vince makes the team, right? Here's where I'm going with this. About a month ago, our girl, Dr. Colmel, who led the whole charge with my podcast with getting all these Missouri folks on, she and her head coach Sam Tolner, they both were at. Ooh, that's Andrews. They were both at my summit a couple weeks ago. But 1 week before that, I went out to their place because they're hosting a combine, like a legit combine. And I go, all right, so what sport are we recruiting for? And they're recruiting for a U.S. bobsled team. And they have these combines around the country. And so bobsled is straightaway power, short burst, right? So that's why Herschel Walker could do it. It's straight away. There's nothing lateral. There's no 5-10-5. It's just straight away, right? So whether you're doing bobsled, skeleton, or luge. And depending on which of those three, they want you to be a certain weight because force of mass times acceleration, you want enough weight in the vehicles, etc. So I go out there, hey, Jim, can you come help out this combine? And I go out there and I go, all right, cool. So I bring my wife, go to St. Louis. I never been in the Arch, so I was excited to do that. Got some of their fried ravioli, whatever. And we're at this combine, and it had about 10 people come out, 8 or 10, and two of them are walking by and they're doing their own warm-ups on the side, and Jen goes, athlete. Athlete right there. The other 6 or 7 were like, nope. These are the 150 push-up guys, but they're like anywhere from age 32 to my age, like 50.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. and I'm 50, and this one guy was like, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh God, this is gonna." She just heads down, and so they take the whole group through the group warm up, and they're starting off with their timed run, so they're doing their fly 10 and their 40 all at once, right? And these older guys, every one of them, they had to do three attempts. We're like, here it comes, and we're kind of like watching like this, and it's like, yep, hamstring pull, uh, Achilles didn't rupture, thank Jesus. One guy is so clumsy, knocked over one of the gates, one of the laser gates,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh God, dude, you are not Vince Papali, right? You watched the movie, and you shouldn't be there. This one kid, he's 1 year out of Iowa State. He ran track, the 1 in 200, and it wasn't even on a track or even on a turf. It was outside concrete and a slight incline grade. I'm like, this is how you guys are testing? They had the lasers. He ran a 4.38 on an incline grade with no spikes.
Wow.
Yeah, wow.
Moving.
Wow. Like he's holding his breath. Everything is contorting. Every step is pain, right? Because it's like you said, you know how hard it is to do that? This dude on a slight incline, and Jim's just like, shit. And then it came the vertical and the broad jump and the sled push, and he just smoked everybody. So he gets invited to this next level, and he can start training at the U.S. Center, et cetera. So they keep vetting him. But
Yeah.
the other guys limped home with their girlfriends. They're going to get wings at the bar, and they're all like, I'm like, man, this shouldn't have been your Saturday, you
Well,
know.
it's funny. So I'm 42, and I hurt myself. I always race against our players and all this stuff, and I've stayed in pretty good shape. I can still move a little bit with them. And my knee, so my quad tendon rupture is doing an agility drill with one of our players on the court, and it was like pretty benign. I turned a corner. My knee's been bad for a while, but Josh Stoner was on your podcast,
Yeah.
told a story about he ruptured his patella doing a workout before a game. We were doing plyos. I was there with him, and it was probably more my fault than anyone's that he did that, because it was my idea to do the plyos, and he said we started jumping over the boxes at one point, and so that was also my idea, and then he said at some point he looked at someone and was like, "This separates the young from the old." And then he went and did it anyway, and he's talking to me when he said that.
Yep.
So anyway, that I get a lot of blame for his patella. So when I ruptured mine, within a half hour, I sent him a video or a picture of me with a massive immobilizer on, and he said he has texted back. He's like, "Welcome to the Jackass Club."
This is what separates people right here, whether you've really hurt yourself stupidly or not. And I'm
Yeah,
usually in the stupidly category. I'm the hold my beer, watch this kind of guy. My wife is the absolute opposite. Um,
that
absolute.
was that was a saving grace for me, was that I actually did it doing my job. It could have been anything. I could have been playing pickleball with a beer in my hand or something like that. I don't
Yeah.
have to explain that to everyone.
Some of our coaches organized this pickleball tournament over the weekend with our members, and the coaches are the CrossFit coaches, and so they're in shape and they're still 40 plus years old sometimes. And I saw them today, and I'm like, it's been a couple days. I go, how we doing, buddy? He goes, I'm so sore. Like I hurt in places, and they do CrossFit all the time, right? They do plenty of volume.
Yeah,
I'm like, yeah, I'm so sore. Everything hurts.
that's
I'm like,
funny.
it's a wiffle ball, dude. It's a
Yeah.
drinking game. You wrote on building the athlete's body, people need to learn the fundamentals thoroughly. I quoted in my newsletter, Larry Bird, master the fundamentals. Talk about having to, like, I call it making love to the mundane, falling in love with the boring. Talk about how building that consistently compound interest is how you build champions. It's not the flashy this and that bullshit.
Yeah. My dog's throwing up right now. So he's
Wow.
yeah.
He hates the show that bad.
That's what that gagging was in the background. So
My
yeah,
goodness.
well, so to answer your question, um, so yeah, the difference, one of the bigger differences in the NBA, man, is like we have like I've already said 106 games over the course of a long period of time, and you have in college basketball in season the most stressful time. It's about They play about 30 games, and they play 2 games a week, and they usually don't travel. we're talking about 3 to 4 on any given week with, you're hitting ridiculous number of time zones and landing. The flights are crazy. So all that being said, you don't, as a strength coach, you're not afforded these days to work with people for hours on end. And so the players have to get comfortable with doing routines that are very short to the point and doing them on repeat for an entire year. And
Mm.
so consistency is what we preach. I think at one point Shea gave an interview post game and they asked him what his secrets were. He's had 30 something points again. It's 10 straight games, whatever it was. And he said, my whole life is consistent. I eat consistent. I sleep consistent. My relationships are consistent. And so the key to professional sports is how much you can tolerate doing the mundane things on repeat for an extended period of time. And if you get bored with that, you're going to have some issues at this level. So like the ability to be consistent and do simple things just ridiculously well will go a long, long way in a professional career, particularly in the NBA, because you play so many games. You don't have time for these, you just you have to win the game with frequency and not with intensity or volume. It's just frequency.
Mm. So I love that. I love that. It's encouraging for me because I have this philosophy, and it's cool to feel like supported, I guess. And so we have 6 core values, and one is the word sisu, which means don't ever give up. I don't know if you're familiar with the word or not. It's from Finland. I am not from Finland. That's the mantra for the entire country.
Right.
SISU, pronounced sisu. It means like guts or entrails, and you just hold on and you just never. So you're suicidal. You're at the end of your rope. You're losing your spouse, your job, your family. You just hang on, don't quit. And people are like, well, I'm no quitter. I get that. I'm like, okay, okay, yeah. You're not going to be suicidal and quit in relationships. That's great. How do you still apply that word? And I'm like, well, do you run through the line or you just run to the line? Did you quit early or not? Or did you quit on that rep? Do you have 10 more reps in the tank on your accessory or not? And I'm like, well, I did. So you should have kept going to have enough intensity to create adaptation, right? So don't quit right there. And they say, well, is that it? My kids or the athletes are like, always question me, is that it? I go, here's how you really use that word at the highest level. It's will I quit before you or not? And if I don't quit before you, then I win and I'm the MVP. And like, what do you mean? Well, you on 52 weeks, there's 365 days. How many of those 365 days did you have the ideal or close to the ideal breakfast? And you say, you have like 300. Well, I had 365. I didn't quit on any of those days. I didn't quit on my sleep. I didn't quit on my whatever you do to calm down, meditate, Bible study, whatever. I didn't quit on the practices. I didn't quit on doing all these things. As soon as I quit on whatever that is that's keeping me at that high level, then I start losing because someone else is just going to hold on that mundane, stupid thing longer, and that's how they win because they stack those wins, that compound interest effect. And I said, that's how who quits first is the loser, and that's at the highest level. And that's how I apply that word philosophically, I guess.
I mean, that's so. We talk about stacking days, stacking possessions in games, stacking quarters, all that stuff. So all of it applies, and a big part of the job of a strength coach, or anyone in my position is kind of managing a lot of different aspects of the day for a player, is to make sure they have the least amount of decisions possible to continue stacking. They want to stack good actions
Right.
without having to make decisions. And
Sure.
so, one of the things in our building when you walk in is all the basketballs are facing forward. When you open the fridge, all the Gatorade logos are facing the same way. And the reason why we do that is because we don't want any extra noise in the face of our players, because we want every decision they make to be easy.
Yeah.
And so when they walk into the same building and you're the same person and their lift is ready to go and all they got to do is walk in the door and just focus on basketball and do the thing, then like it makes it easier for them to stack those decisions up and stack those days up. And when they walk in and our chefs have their food ready for them when they walk in the door, I'm like, there's not a lot of decision fatigue coming from that. And I think when I talk to our players about what they like about our facility and what they like about our environment, that's always the number one thing they say is like, you make it really easy to be like, just focus on basketball because I hand my trust to you guys. And every time I walk in the weight room, things are set up for me. I know exactly what I need to do. Every time I walk in the kitchen, my food's ready for me. Every time I walk in, and when you're dealing with guys that are walking mutual funds, they're going to have a lot of decisions outside of basketball to make with their money and all these things. And a big part of your job is to manage that mutual fund the way you would expect a financial advisor to manage your money, which is like handle all the angles so that they can walk in the building and just be basketball players. And I think that's a major part of it. It's like our job is to create an environment that makes it easy for them to stack every day up.
Hmm. So what my wife and I call that, and we stole that right from James Clear, is friction. We want more or less friction.
Yeah.
If I have plenty of bottles of bourbon and bags of potato chips, there's no friction for me to eat poorly.
Yeah.
If I don't have it in my house, boom, right? I was always forgetting to take my supplements, fish oil, creatine. I put all that. I had those pill boxes for like 80-year-olds, right? For a whole month. They're already so one day a month for about 20 minutes I fill that thing and it sits there right by my toothbrush because I see that every morning. So bam, toothbrush, stack my habit with my supplements. It's right there. No friction, gets done. The goals are alone are for losers. Systems are for winners.
Yeah.
The goals are just targets, each milestone along the way. What system did you put in place? Well, my goal was to take my supplements, coach. I didn't take them. Well, fuck, man. What was your system? I don't know. I just didn't think about it. Great. I don't want to think either. Just put all that next to your toothbrush. Quit, take away because after a while, you're right. The decision fatigue, running your
Yeah.
own business, 6 kids. God, I empathize with that. It is brutal, right? Make your
Yeah.
life easier. My wife, I stay true to my wife. I don't go to strip bars, right?
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah.
Big win.
No, I mean, that's a good word for it, friction. Because,
Friction. Do you
you
want
know,
more or less, depending on what you're trying to do?
yeah, and Shea, this is public. So Shea said this was one of his major points in his press conference for his MVP was how easy it is to walk into the building. And like, I always remind we have an intern that makes supplements for them every day.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to make we have individualized supplements, blood work and all that, tells them what to take. And behind the scenes for the player, it's kind of complex. But when the player walks in, you want it to be as simple as possible. So it's like your initials on here, sitting on your chair in your locker as soon as you get in, and there it is. Like you just walk in and that's there. Now behind the scenes, there's a lot of, I guess, tedious complexity that goes on with working with our physicians on what they should be taking and not. And then our the more tedious side is our intern doing it every single day. I have to
Sure.
remind him how important that is for our guys to like it's just a nudge in that direction of just like there it is for you, man.
So when I talk
Don't
about teammates, that support crew that you don't see, that behind the scenes guy, that's oh, this person is just a big nothing, is critical,
yeah,
right? So thank the intern or the guy that cleans all the laundry, right? Because it's critical. And if you're not at the NBA level where all it's getting done for you, and if you're at Jim Beebe's level, you're definitely not. It's not getting done for you. My wife's not going to do all that for me. She does help. You got to figure out some kind of system your own way to how can I make this better? How can I be better without
yeah,
having to think so much? Um, which is cool because when I asked you, what are one of the things that helped you as on your recovery, not recovery, you're working with people. One of your keys to success, and this is probably so that you can send it to your wife on her birthday, Valentine's Day, or anniversary, is you listed your wife as one of your teammates that makes your life run so well.
yeah.
It says it right
Yeah.
there.
Well, I travel a ton,
Yeah.
um, and my wife is a coach for almost 20 years. She's a softball coach in college. Um, and so there's just sacrifices you make for one another. And we have a daughter that's 3, and she decided to step away from coaching. She was an assistant athletic director for a short period of time, but stepped away from that so she could help us take care of the house, take care of the daughter. I travel insane amount. And if she doesn't do those things, like I won't be like my career is impossible to sustain. And I think the when I look at people that have success at this level, a lot of it is linked to stable, positive home life relationships. Um, and so having that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I give young coaches is make sure your home life is locked up because
Mm.
if not, you're going to have all the instability that is caused by getting called. The other day to go fly to LA for the weekend to go see a player for a doctor's appointment and fly back. Like if you don't have a stable home, strong, stable home structure, that's a very difficult thing. And so, yeah, success in the career, whatever. But like, if you don't have, if my wife is not with me, it doesn't work.
The dog's throwing up during the podcast because he hates it so bad.
Yeah.
Someone's got to be there to pay attention so the 3-year-old doesn't walk right through it,
Yeah,
right?
there's a lot of things going on over here right now. We got,
Right. We're doing finger painting in the floor with all the dog puke, while everything else is going on. And don't think I haven't seen that with my own kids, right?
she's young. She's got a good immune system. She'll be able to handle it.
Ooh, all right. Uh, so keep doing this for a while. You're young, 43, but then you said, I'll make a pile of money, retire. I'm gonna open a bar on a beach.
Yeah.
Any idea what kind of bar and what location for the beach?
So before I moved to Oklahoma, I lived in Pensacola, Florida. That's on
Okay.
the panhandle of Florida, and that was like, I
It's
mean,
an
my
air
wife.
base there, right? Isn't there an air base or like a museum or yeah?
Yes, we worked for Exos, which is a pretty big company, and then a lot of the people I work with are military. So there's a Air Force base down there, and there's a naval base,
That's right. Yeah.
and so, but we loved the Panhandle is like the most underrated beaches in the world. I've been to the beaches in Greece and all like these were like we were it was really difficult to leave there and move to Oklahoma City. So much so my wife stayed in Destin or in Pensacola for I think 3 years while I was living here
Shit.
when I first started because we just love that area.
What happens when the dog pukes?
Yeah, she's on her own.
Oh my
That's
God.
um but so that's the area. The Panhandle, like the Destin's more of like a tourist site.
Yeah.
But if you ever been to Pensacola as a kind of off the beaten path town slash city that has a lot of good food too. Barbecue. They have really good sushi there. Um, so that's the area we love. And on vacation we always go to like the 30A Panhandle of Florida type area to get a house. We get some downtime.
Okay.
Um, that's the area. The type of bar I thought about having like an outdoor beach gym with a bar attached to it and just hang out at the bar all day and just like people can come work out and like drink beer and whiskey and everything. But that if I ever built up enough money where I could just chill and make friends with like locals that just want to be regulars, that would be like a dream. That's a great place. It's like very slow living down there. And I've been living fast for a while, so like um, there's an alluring quality of just like slow beach living.
I don't know. I like whiskey and beer as much as the next guy, and I love lifting too. I could just see going over to Andrew's place or Paul's or AP's place, maybe call that, and then, all right, well, I can still squat 405 in cowboy boots. Let's have a couple shots of bourbon first and throw that in a bar and see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm. Maybe a waiver along with the shots, right? Maybe a waiver with the gym.
Yeah, not in Pensacola. Pensacola is not a it's not a white collar area. No one would sue anyone around there.
Oh, really? Okay, write that down.
Yeah.
I trust everybody. Nobody would ever sue me. Perfect. I'm definitely coming there then. Slip on purpose.
Yeah.
Ah. So this year, it's kind of hard to repeat. You won the whole thing, right? And then you can see it from game to game in the series. You can feel it. We talk about seen, felt, and heard. Talk just as a fan watching things on TV, you can see the psyche of the team manifest with momentum. oh, the shot was missed. Ah, you see their body language, and then next thing you know, they give up 6 or 8 more points, or just, or how did that how did that team get blown out the night before, come back and win the next day so significantly? Was it all scheme? Right? No, just give some insights on the psyche of a series, say it's the finals, and then how to handle the psyche of, hey man, we won, man, we're pretty good. We'll just run it back, right?
Yeah.
Talk about those two things right there, because
Let's
that's a you figure that out. That's a whole line of books and millions of dollars for yourself, right?
yeah. So I think the first thing those are two big questions. Um,
Oh, I saw her.
we're sneaking in.
I'm just
Conrad threw up on the
There
floor.
she.
The interrupt. um, the those are two big questions. So for one, the emotional swings. Okay,
Mhm.
so there's like facts, and our coach is really good at anticipating things to tell the players before series start, before the playoffs start, before the season starts, that are going to carry us through the easiest and the worst of times. Okay, so the theme has always been, even when we won 24 games, he has 24 games in a season, he has a 0-0 mentality. He brings that up all the time. And then he always starts with, here's the facts of the NBA. And one of the facts of the NBA is that on any given night, the average point swing, and that's from the lead one team has to the lead the other team has, the difference in those two things at any given point in the game. So if we have a 13-point lead at one point in the game, and then they have a 13-point lead at another point in the game, that's a 26-point swing.
Yeah,
So the average swing in an NBA game is 25.3 in any given game.
25.3.
That's a regular season average.
Like I was seeing it all the time. Like team was up 30 and they blew it. I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a normal. So people think these are really emotional. They lost focus, all these reasons. There's a lot of reasons why the points will shift.
Okay.
And that's a normal thing. In the playoffs, do you think that would be less or more, that swing?
I guess I would think it would be less because it's tighter competition. But if that's what I'm thinking, I'm guessing the answer is the opposite.
It's virtually exactly the same.
That's okay.
So
Wow.
I think this regular season was 25.3, and then in the playoffs it was 25.6.
Wow.
So
Neat.
it's the same game.
Same game.
But the feelings are different. And so managing the players' understanding of that is this: no matter how much you're up, there's going to be a swing. No matter how much you're down, there's going to be a swing. And so no different than stacking days of taking supplements. You have to stack possessions of doing things right. And if you're making a run, you got to continue to stack. And if they're making a run, you've got to get back to stacking. And so like big part of the job of the staff is to stay even, is to not hop into the emotions of a big run that we just went on, and not to hop in the emotions of when we're getting a run put on us, because the NBA is a game of runs. Like you're going to have a 7-point run here. They're going to come back with a 4-point run. You're going to hit a 10-point run. They're going to come, and how you manage those situations throughout the course of the year ultimately sets you up for the playoffs. And one of the things our coach did tell me that I realized going in is like the playoffs are a lot more about your floor, your team's floor, than your ceiling. So like
That's the minimums. Yeah. Okay. So yeah.
teams tend to find a way to push you into your worst corners
Yeah.
in the playoffs, and your ability to handle that ultimately defines if you can come out of the playoffs well. Whereas the regular season is it's a lot harder to do that because the adjustments you're not playing the same team 7 times in a row. And so your ceiling can kind of define your season a little bit. But I do think that our coach does a good job of explaining those things up front to the players, explaining what they can expect from the media in a very like coherent way they can understand. And then the last thing is, part of managing runs within games is also managing the gaps between games. And so those gaps between games feel different than they do in the regular season because there's so much of an emphasis put on there's so much of an emphasis put on the outcome of the previous game. And the media is like we'll call it the machine. And they have like these, they're, the media, the big thing our coach says is like, they're actors. They wear makeup. They say one, two, three, go, and they have a end cut. And
True.
um, and they have these two scripts, and one script, if we lose, they're going to say this. The other script, if we win, they're going to say this. And if we win this game, we're going to be the next dynasty. And if we lose, we're going to be overrated. And they
Yeah.
have these two scripts they're playing off of. And so our team's ability to like tone that out and like come into the building and have the balls face the same way and the Gatorade face the same way, and their lifting is up and their supplements are in their locker and all of those things make a massive difference in managing like the environment and the feel of the players. And so I think it was a huge learning experience for our guys because we're so young. We're the youngest team ever to win the championship, or second youngest team ever since the 70s. And the youth by age does not mean I think our guys were young, but they were mature. Those are two different things.
Yeah.
And they had the ability to do that. And I think just managing the environment around them is helpful too. But it was just a really unique learning experience for us, and like the ebbs and flows of how the emotions of the playoffs can really take their toll on them. So
While talking to my kids, and they were asking me about, this team will like would always win in the regular season and then not do well in the playoffs against the same team. I go, well, during the regular season, you're going from team to team that you're playing. It's like you're going on a different date with a different girl all the time. They don't really get to know you that well.
yeah,
But during a 7 game series, they're going to know that you chew with your mouth open all the time, and they're going to be unimpressed, and they're going to be done with you, right? So you can't hide as much. And as much as people like to believe they're going to rise to the occasion and they'll be able to just turn it on game day on Friday Night Lights or in the playoffs. I go, no, you will always just default to your level of training and consistency. So whatever you're great at the minimum, you hit all the time, that's what you're going to have. You're not going to be able to just turn it on and just hold that level up there at a higher standard because you don't have it. And so going into, I got to believe the answer is going to be the same. So going into the season where you're going to repeat, it's scores 0-0, the Gatorades and the weights and everything's the same thing. And obviously you're going to try to learn from mistakes and stuff and assess other teams and players, but I got to believe that the process is the process, that we're going to stack wins and keep everything consistent and then make another run.
yeah. So I think one of the things that really like connects me to this organization is we believe in what we're doing, and we believed in what we were doing when we won 24 games in 2021 or whatever it was. Um, and we, not to say we're not surprised by success. There isn't like an expectation we're going to win the championship, but we're not even. I don't even think we're focused on that. I think the what you want to do is create a system like you talked about, or a process that you believe in, and I think
Mm.
we've done that for years now. I don't think there's going to be a change there, and get back to business and repeat that day after day, and then the outcome is the outcome, and you can't really like have that in your mind with throughout the course of the season. And so I don't see it, I don't think we did much different this last season than we had done previous seasons. Um, we have more mature players. Our players have gotten better throughout the course of the years, but our processes and the things we believe in they've been the same. And so I don't see that changing at all. Like
Yeah,
um, that's always been there.
that's beautiful. Oh my God. Yeah, so the goal is not when people say I want to lose weight, I said, well, we want process goals. We don't want 10-pound or 15-pound goals. We want process goals. That's what we want to. That's you improve what you measure, and we're measuring our process. We're measuring the scale too, or your body fat. I get that.
Yeah.
We talked about before when you're lifting, when you're lifting, you want to listen to a lot of Madonna, and I get that because she was hot back in the day, right? So that's nothing says max out back squat or deadlift than Madonna, because I would do it for her because maybe she wants me at the end.
Yeah.
But for you and your wife, what's a bucket list? You mentioned Greece already, but you can clearly travel a lot more than she does. What's a bucket list adventure for you two that you've never done that you would like to do?
Italy's on that list. She's
Okay,
Italian, so her last name is Tucci, or maiden
okay.
name is Tucci. So she's Italian. So we've talked about going to Italy all the time, and like we never we never get time. It's like
Mm.
it's like always, well, next off season we'll be able, and then we never do. So that's going to happen. That's going to happen soon.
So it sounds like the goal is Italy. You still have a process to make the goal happen yet.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I figured that one out.
Uh, Favorite sports movie?
Favorite sports movie has to be Remember the Titans. That was my sports movie that came out when I was a junior in high school. I remember watching that with my team, my high school football teammates.
Right?
We were so hyped up after watching it that we all went back to the high school football field and we're throwing the football around at like 10 o'clock at night or whatever it was.
It broke my heart when Bertier gets hit by that car, and they
Yeah.
still go ahead and win it for him. That movie's outstanding, based on a true story too. You Favorite sport to watch?
My favorite sport to watch is I see enough basketball, so I watched.
Over
Over it.
it.
Asking football.
Okay.
I could do
Favorite
baseball. The baseball is like you got to be in the right mindset to watch a baseball game.
favorite athlete?
Ooh, Ozzie Smith was a shortstop for the St. Louis Cardinals when I was a kid, and that was my first like. I had a hamster named Ozzie. That was I was in my backyard trying to do backflips, all sorts of stuff.
Because he playing shortstop, he comes in from the dugout, does that round off backflip to come in the short and to play the position, and I'm like, what was that? He's even wearing his glove when he did it.
Yeah.
What a psycho! That's awesome. Do you have a favorite book? There, there he is.
He's sorry. He's getting more TV time than I am.
Do you have a favorite book?
My favorite book is that I read recently was a book called Being Mortal.
Okay,
And the author's name is Atul Gawande. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's a really good book.
okay. It's my wife's favorite question on the podcast because
Right. It's a great
well,
book.
you see all the books behind me. It's a fraction of what she has. We have 1,100 total in the basement in our library, and she probably has two-thirds.
Right.
Insane. This I want to preface. This person can be real or fictional. Hero and villain. You have a hero and a villain. They're usually not the same person.
Oh man.
Could be real, could be fictional.
I'll pass on that one. Can I pass on these?
Yeah, for sure. This is
I don't,
America. This is America. This is not communism where I'm making you do things.
I don't think I have a good one for that.
Okay.
Let me think about it. I'll
No
pass.
problem. All right. Do you have a favorite lift?
Um, a favorite lift at my age, I can still deadlift, and I feel good about that.
Okay.
So the Olympic lifting days have been long gone, but deadlifting is still actually trap bar deadlifting because it's easy and I can stack up a shit ton of weight and it makes me feel good about myself.
Yeah, right. Little ego lifting.
Yeah.
How about you have a quote for us?
Oh man, not offhand.
Okay.
So um, the quote that we have in our weight room for our staff is, or a quote that I have in my office that I think about a lot for our staff is, it's amazing what you can accomplish if you don't care who takes the credit. And that's like
True.
that, that's one that just comes to mind. It's probably not my favorite one, but it's just the first one I thought of when you asked that question.
Yeah. And still applies.
Yeah.
Is there I don't know if you're online at all. Any way that people can reach out to you if they want to get a
Uh,
hold of you, or they just gotta, get in line and knock on the door at OKC's office and hey man, I don't want to see the MVP winner. I want to see Andrew Paul if he's available.
yeah. So I have Instagram. Everyone's always very disappointed by my social media because they think it's like
Not cool.
strength and conditioning content and things like that. And it's not. It's like pictures of my daughter and
All
uh,
right.
but it's my Instagram is Andrew Paul PT, all one word. Uh,
Gotcha.
I'm on there occasionally. I'm on Facebook occasionally. Um, that's probably the best way.
Cool. Well,
Yeah.
hang on here after we wrap up. But man, Andrew wanted to thank you for taking the time to be on the show. Thank you for introducing your wife and your dog to us as well. That
Yeah.
was cool. Had to meet your daughter. For those who want to have questions for us, you know how to do it. Info at athlete-builder.com and go online. There's swag if you want to help support the show. There's my book, Planner and Digital Course, if you want to work on getting better, or send us an email. We want to work with you. So Andrew, loved our time together. Thank you for the generosity and the gift of just sharing this moment with us. We really appreciate it.
Jim, I really appreciate you having me on. I had a good time.
Good. Awesome. All right. Well, best of luck next year.
Yeah. Thank you, man.
Yep.